morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are on this fine planet. We're here in another special edition of WOWSA Live with a good friend, Katie Rowe. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I know you when you were a little girl, and now you're running a master's club, a ocean swimming club, et cetera. But what is your current club name and why?
Well, so of the several clubs that I'm involved in, I have my pool club is Swim Long Beach Masters. Our normal ocean swimming club are the Sea Monkeys, and we're kind of out of Long Beach, Seal Beach, California. And then this summer we have our covert pandemic quarantine team known as the Bay Ducks.
The Bay Ducks.
Yeah.
What does that come? Where did that come from?
Well, we started by trying to keep a very small group because we didn't want to get caught swimming and breaking quarantine. So we would meet really early and very quiet, and it was very Navy SEAL-like. And at one point, we would always move every day when we swam. We would swim in a different location. So one day we were showering afterwards, illegally showering at the beach because all the showers and bathrooms were closed. And a goose walked up to us really randomly. We, for some reason, thought we called it a duck. We know that it is not a duck. We're more familiar with the water than that. And then we became the Bay Ducks. We decided that would be our secret name that kept the authorities from finding out that the Sea Monkeys were actually out swimming. So I know that's a very long story for not really a lot of information, but there you have it.
There you go. There you go. And your group is a bunch of just adult swimmers, former collegiate swimmers, former competitive swimmers, or triathletes. Who is the group that you swim with?
We really have kind of all levels. We have on one end world record holder Hank Wise.
Got it.
We have a handful of kind of retired college swimmers, lazy people like myself. We have a handful of water polo players. We have a couple college professors. We have one guy that learned to swim as an adult, but Peter Knapp, he swam the Catalina Channel. We have kind of a motley crew, and we have kind of a sporadic in and out flow of our master swimmers, but we try and keep it 12, maybe 13 max, so we can fly under the radar, the illegal swimming radar.
Got it. Now, you and I had swum together on the same team when we were young, and then you went your way and I went my way, and then we sort of came back and we met at the pool. Actually, we first met. But your intervening life at where you are now is so totally fascinating to me. You're a stunt woman.
I am a stunt woman. Yeah.
How did you get into it?
I fell into it. That's
really
a joke. Yeah. I actually got into stunts from swimming because I decided I loved college, but I didn't want to have to get a real job, although I'm not against working. I thought I would do something fun. So I was modeling a little bit, and then I thought somebody said, you should be an actress. And I really had no desire to be an actress. But then I was working just as an extra and a stand-in, and somebody said, you should do stunts. And I said, what a great idea. What stunts? I literally had no idea. And I grew up in Los Angeles. I had no idea this was actually a thing, and that I could possibly get paid to swim and play in the water, fall down, catch on fire, crash cars. And I'm like, sounds like a perfect job. So from there, it was a long, painful, slow road to the superstardom I enjoy today.
Got it.
Which is really none at all. So
got it. Now, driving cars, I don't know, fighting with swords, shooting guns, you had to learn all these techniques, right?
I did. Fortunately, I did not have to work too hard on the swimming part, but I did. I went to driving school. I went actually to a gymnastics school where I learned to do a standing backflip, which at 6'3", I got to pat myself on the back. And that was the end of my gymnastics. And I've never actually used it. I had to learn to do high falls, and you kind of literally everything, fights, fire.
Wow.
Kind of get with people who know, and they hand down the secret ways to you, and that's it. And I became a dive instructor because I kind of felt like that would really help with the water angle. So
Got it. And so are you typecast? Is that the right word? As a aquatic specialist in Hollywood?
I'm typecast by my own design.
Okay.
When I act on camera, I tend to always play, the villain, the prison matron, the lumberjack, one of those things, which is fine.
Yeah.
I intentionally became kind of a water specialist because there really weren't and aren't any women doing it. And a lot of the women doing it were very small because really it's a lot of times a lifeguarding job. You may have to grab 2 actors at once and pull them out of a weird situation that would never happen at the beach. So it required kind of a lot of swimming. And I actually had retired from swimming so long that I had gotten so out of shape for swimming. I was at work one day and I was like, I really have to go back and start swimming. So that was my re-entry into master swimming.
Got it. What have you been in? Cold water, rough water, oceans, lakes, rivers? What scenes have you had active?
Also duck ponds, golf course lakes, some of drainage ditches, some of the nastiest water I've ever seen. The little basin around the Queen Mary where the water hasn't changed since they put the Queen Mary there. I've swum in all those things. They're all kind of equally horrible. In Los Angeles, we film a lot of television now. Yeah. So most of my work is in television.
Got it.
Lately, I've been working a lot on SWAT. I can't say lately because Hollywood is not working at all right now. But lately, a lot of SWAT. I worked a little bit on Avatar. I'm trying to think. I coordinated the half of American Horror Story 1984. It's always kind of a weird mix. And I literally can be on a different show every single day.
Wow.
NCIS, you name it in TV, filmed in LA, I probably worked on it.
Got it. Oh, wow. Now, because people know you as an aquatic specialist, a swimmer, etc., do they consult with you? Like, oh, the actress or the actor is going to jump in here and you just say, yes, sir? Or do you say, well, I should come from this angle or?
So yeah, that kind of encompasses a lot of what we call stunt coordinating.
Okay.
They're the department heads. They're basically the managers. And so when I'm working as a coordinator, I'll meet with the director or producer or actor or all of the above ahead of time. And we might go to the location, look, decide what the actor has to do. And then we also have to see what the actor is actually capable of. Do we need to bring in a stunt double? Do we need to have the actor come out ahead of time and just train a little? Can the actor swim at all? Does the actor want to do it, but they're not capable of doing it? And then we also look at things. There's been times I just say, this is not safe for anybody shy of an Olympian because it's either a confined space, maybe where they have to swim into something, but they don't have goggles on. They don't have a mask on. It could be dark. The surface could be on fire. There's a lot of factors that have to go in to figure out so it looks great, but it's not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah. What have been some of the most difficult scenes that you've had to endure?
When I trained all the actors for Poseidon, the remake of Poseidon.
Yeah.
And so they built basically an entire cruise ship and they flipped it upside down. They built a section of it.
Yeah.
And they flooded it. So we had all these rooms that were basically upside down, filled with water, dark, but they also have furniture floating upside down in them. And we have to have these actors, open the door, swim through the room, look around, do their acting bit, and swim out. So they don't know where any air is. They don't really know how to get out. They don't know where you are. They're not really a swimmer in the first place. It's a swimmer would listen to that and think, no problem, I can head to Hollywood tomorrow, I'll work all the time. It's not that simple. And they also have to act, their face has to be calm, they can't be blowing out weird bubbles at weird times. So there's a lot of moving parts. That was very difficult. We had everybody from, Richard Dreyfuss on one end to a 6-year-old boy on the other end that all had to be trained to scuba dive and do all these things. So that sort of thing is a lot of work. And also working in the open ocean is difficult just because you have all the things that make open water swimming difficult. You have marine life, you have currents, you have cold, you have, sunshine burning you, you have boats. So, and here in LA, the water is not particularly tropically clear. So it does not look at all like your background, Steve.
Yeah.
It looks more like the color of that door a lot of days. So
Yeah. Now you've been in some, I assume, on sets in it, whether that's a Pacific Ocean or an upside down ship where the water's cold, right?
yes,
You've got to just deal with that hypothermia.
yes. If I'm not on camera, I don't, because I will have a wetsuit on. But I have worked, there is a lake at Universal Studios called Falls Lake, and it's up at the top of the park. You go by it in the tram, there's a giant green screen. They fill it up with water. And when we worked on it, we blew up a boat for a show called Revenge. And the girls have to get thrown off the boat. And of course they're partying, so they're in these tiny little outfits. Well, they didn't want to heat the water because that's very, very expensive and it takes a very long time. So the water in that lake was actually 46 degrees.
Oh.
And they had to go off it again and again. And these are not swimmers. This is not Lynn Cox. These are civilians, swimming civilians. So it was really unpleasant. It was unpleasant for me in a 7mm wetsuit. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really arduous, but you know, they hung in there. Kudos to them. So,
yeah. Yeah.
But yes, there are plenty of cold days. Heat is unfortunately very expensive in the movie business.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you been able to swim backstroke or free? I mean, like, you know, like a swimmer would, or do you have to imitate like a sort of a non-swimmer swimming?
We do a lot of fake drowning.
Okay.
I have taught a lot of people to fake drown, which for some people is not a big stretch, I can tell you. There's not often people are playing swimmers. I've had the occasion a lot of times to work as a diver, like maybe you're a military diver hunting something underwater. That's kind of usually as close as you get to actually swimming. There's not, you know, I worked on a commercial once with Michael Phelps. That was like the closest to a real swimmer I've really ever seen on set. So.
Wow. Wow. How was Michael on the set?
You know, that was a very long time ago. It was, I believe, his first or second Olympics. You know, he was a trooper. He was very quiet.
Got it.
He was very skinny and gangly. And I was, you know, I was so excited. I was actually so excited. I'm like, I swam for Tim Shaw. I swam in college. I'm a real swimmer. I'm here for you. Yeah. So I don't think he cared at all, but it was fun.
Yeah. If you can name names, who are some good Hollywood actors that are decent swimmers? If you can't name names, that's okay.
Well, I can't. I won't tell you the bad swimmers.
Okay.
Kerry Washington on Scandal swam in high school.
Okay.
She did some scenes on Scandal where she actually would go swim as her character. She was, you know, she hopped in and I was like, oh God, every time I'm like, actors in the water, this is going to be awful. And she hops in and starts swimming, breaks out this beautiful flip turn. I'm like, this is the greatest day of my life. So who else? Jim Carrey is a scuba diver. He was not necessarily a swimmer, but they're more comfortable than most. Who else? A lot of people are kind of just in the middle. They learn to swim as kids. They don't love it. They don't hate it.
Yeah.
Swimming days on set tend to be very arduous.
Oh, okay.
We have been in the water 16, 18 hours, which is a lot more than most people want to spend in the water. Even a heated pool. We normally try and have pools heated, if we're working in a tank, to 88 to 92, which people think sounds awful. That's still 6 or 8 degrees under your body temperature. So it's doing nothing but draining your heat. So I commend any actor that will get in there and do their deal, because it's hard. It's hard to act and do something you're not really comfortable.
Yeah. Have you had to act when you're underwater? You know, when you're literally under the water and you're mouthing something or pointing something?
Yeah, I've done plenty of that. It's the difficulty that people never think of is you, again, don't have goggles or a mask on. You don't know exactly oftentimes where the camera is. So if you're the camera, I may be looking this way and somebody has to come over and literally do this with your head to get you pointed the right way. So there's a lot of kind of puppeteering underwater where we'll just go over and grab people and turn them, or somebody will point my head. There's also, when you're underwater, you tend to get little bubbles all over your eyelids and your skin because your pool filter normally is kind of pumping that air and they stick all over. Well, your camera operators don't like that. So you have to go over and kind of wipe people's faces down.
Okay.
You have to warn them ahead of time because suddenly someone is doing this to them underwater. So we've had some panicked moments. I've learned to warn people.
Got it. So you literally take the actor aside and just whisper in their ear, or you give them other tidbits to make them feel comfortable?
Yes, I do. I'm trying to think of Jason, and now I'm totally blanking. He's on Arrested Development.
Okay.
We did a big underwater scene. He's on Ozark. Jason Bateman, sorry. And he was very, very comfortable in the water. So people like that, you just have to give, it's not even so much swimming tips, it's very specific to filming underwater.
Got it.
Where they have to head, and if I touch his shoulder a certain way, he needs to turn or turn at that moment, or go up or go down or whatever he has to do. So
Got it.
Yeah, there's a lot of actors that obviously don't want to be seen as anything less than amazing.
Got it.
You know, so you really have to be delicate with their ego because, you know, you're like, I know you're a fantastic swimmer, but why don't we have the stunt double do it just so you can rest? Because, you know, you really have some critical acting scenes. And always my question is, I pull people aside and I say, so let me ask you, on a scale of like 0 is you can't swim at all and 10 is your Michael Phelps, where are you in that scale? And invariably the answer is 7 or 8. And these are people who probably learned to swim at the YMCA when they were 6 and haven't been in since. And I'm like, okay, I might call myself a 7 on a good day, probably an 8 back in college, but that's it. So this is going to be great for you. So, but then I know where we stand. So
yeah. And you've been in Hollywood now since college, and you're now ahead of the Stunt Women's Guild, correct?
Stunt Women's Association.
Association, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
We're a group, you know, promoting female stunt performers, and we have all specialties. We are the best of the best. So
wow, that's very cool. And if you're a high school, college swimmer, or water polo player, or diver, someone with some aquatic skills, and they go, God, I want to be like Katie. What would you recommend that they do?
Don't tell your parents that. They do not want you to be like me. So the best thing I would say is be sure you finish college and have a backup degree, because Hollywood is having a lot of trouble right now with this pandemic. Yeah. But beyond that, I would say you still have to learn a wide variety of skills, unless you're going to be an actor, which is probably even more difficult. There are very few people that are just specialized in one thing. So you still have to go learn a lot of the other things. And, you know, it's a meet and greet. Hollywood is a lot of who you know, and you got to get your face out there, and you got to learn a lot of skills and be outside your comfort zone. And it's a big dash of luck. And I guess that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think many of the skills that you develop, or many of the traits that you developed as a competitive swimmer, going to morning practice, 2 practices a day, sticking with it, perseverance, have obviously paid off in your dry land adult profession.
In my dry land adult game. Yeah. I used to always think swimming with Tim Shaw, and I still tell the girls that I coach, because I help at my high school, that if you can survive swimming and club swimming in college, nothing in your life will be harder.
Yeah.
So I know that there's nothing they can throw at me that's going to be worse than, 20,000 meters a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it is all those things. It's the perseverance, and then also just your stuff in the water. There's a comfort in water that, as we all know, you don't get when you're 45. It's kind of, you're either a fish or you're not a fish sort of thing. So
yeah. One last question for people who are watching this. What are some of the more well-known films or TV shows that you appear on, so they can say, That's Katie.
Oh gosh. You know, everything you will see me on is probably not a lot of stuff in the water because that tends to be hard to recognize. There's an episode of New Girl that seems to replay all the time where I'm in jail. I'm in jail a lot. So if you're ever watching and there's a jail scene, you will likely see this giant blonde, and that will be me.
Got it.
So,
Okay. Katie, this has been a wonderful time with you. And thank you for sharing your story and your road to stardom.
hey, well, thank you so much for having me, Steve. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Take care of it.
Bye.